Now we can start. So we'll do the prayers all together. Om Sadashivasamarambham
शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां
Vande
वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्
Saraswati Namastubhyam
वरदे
Varakamaro
कामरूपिणी
Vidyarambham
विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा
Om
ॐ सहना
सहना
भवतु
भवतु
Sahanau
सहनौ भुनक्तु
Sah
सह
वीर्यं
वीर्यं
करवावहै
करवावहै
Tejasvin
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै
Om
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति
शान्ति
शान्तिः
Vasudevendra Yogiram
इन्द्रयोगीन्द्रं नत्वा
नत्वाज्ञानं प्रदं
ज्ञानप्रदं
गुरुं
गुरुं
Mumukshu
मुमुक्षूणां
हितार्थाय
हिताय
तत्त्वबोधो
तत्त्वबोधोऽभिधीयते
भिधीयते।
Okay. So in the last class, we had finished the topic of Maya and Brahman. So we found that Maya is the one that evolves as Jagat in the presence of Brahman. So actually, Brahman doesn't act, but Brahman just blesses by its mere presence. Brahman's presence is necessary, it is the very support for Maya. But Maya is the one that evolves into the universe. Maya cannot exist without Brahman, and Brahman cannot act without Maya. So we saw this understanding last time, and now from today we will see Jagat Utpatti, the creation of the universe, the creation or the evolution of the world, how it evolved from this Maya into the world that we know now. So, first of all, is my audio clear? Audio and video both are clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine, thank you. So, we will see this evolution in 4 stages. What you see on the screen, those 4 stages. So, we will see. So the first stage of the evolution, the first thing that is born is the Sukshma Pancha Bhautikani. Sukshma means subtle or invisible. Pancha means 5. Bhutani. Okay, so Sukshma Pancha Bhutani. Bhutani means elements. The 5 subtle elements are born first. So we all know about the 5 elements, the earth, air, fire, all these 5, right? So these 5, but in their sukshma form, in the subtle form. So the elements that we see around us right now, the fire that you see, or the water that you can feel or taste, all of those are in gross form. What does it mean to be in gross form? It means that it is available to your sense organs. But here we are saying Sukshma Panchabhutani. That means these are Sukshma, they are not available to your sense organs, they are in the subtle form. Okay, so sometimes these 5 are also called as Tan Matras. In Sankhya, they are called as Tan Matras or the pure elements, the subtle elements. Now, these subtle elements, they are 5. So the same 5, but in the subtle form or in the pure form. So what happens? They evolve. They undergo some permutation combination, and from the Bhutani, the Bhautikani is born. So Bhautikani means elemental. So element, elemental. Bhautikani is nothing but a combination or a modification of the Bhutani. So if you take the element and then you do some permutation combination or you modify it in some way, then that resulting thing, that is called a Bhautikani. That is called elemental. So these 5 Panchabhutani, they go through some combinations or some modifications, and from that is born the Sukshma Bhautikani. It is nothing but the same 5 elements but in some combined way. And an example for this is all the subtle bodies in the universe, all the minds in the universe. So all of these are born out of the Sukshma Panchabhutani, and so they are Sukshma Bhautikani. So your subtle body is a Sukshma Bhautikam. Bhautikam is singular, Bhautikani is plural in Sanskrit. So the difference is elemental and elementals. So when you say singular subtle body, you say Bhautikam. So your subtle body is a Sukshma Bhautikam. It is a combination of the Bhutani. Okay. So this is the second stage. These subtle bodies are born next. Now from the same Sukshma Panchabhutani, from this step 1, you can say, the step 3 is also born next. Okay. So we have the Sthula Panchabhutani. So previously all the elements were in their Sukshma form, in the subtle form. But now they have to become Sthula. Why? Because as we can see the world around us, things are available to the sense organs. You can touch the earth. You can feel the breeze. So all of the elements have to become gross, have to become available to the sense organs. That means Indriya Gocharam. So in order to do that, they have to go through a process. It is a process of grossification, converting from subtle to gross. They have to undergo this process. This process is called as Panchikaranam. And that this whole, how the process happens is given in detail in Tattva Bodha in the third stage, which we will see later. And once the gross 5 elements are ready, what happens? The combination again from gross elements to gross elementals. So Sthula Bhautikani is born. And what is an example of a Sthula Bhautikani? Pretty much everything in the world. And one of the prime examples is, of course, the human body. So if you see the human body, you will see it is a combination of all the 5 elements. You will find water element in the body. You will find a fire element in the form of the digestive fire in the body. And if you look at, for example, say acid in the stomach, acid is a combination of the fire element as well as the water element, right? And so on. So in this way, all of the 5 combine in the human body in different ways. And so the human body is a Sthula Bhautikam. Okay, it is an elemental that is born out of the 5 gross elements. Till here, is this clear? Any doubts? No doubts? Okay. So actually these 4 stages are not listed in Tattva Bodha, but we have just classified this way for better understanding. But in Tattva Bodha, you will not see exactly this kind of classification. So now we will start looking at the verses. So you can unmute and we'll read this. Tataha akashas sambhutaha
सम्भूतः
आकाशाद्वायुः
आकाशाद्वायुः
वायोस्तेजः
वायोस्तेजः
तेजस् आपः
तेजस् आपः
अद्भ्यः पृथिवी.
अद्भ्यः पृथिवी.
Okay. So now the author starts talking about how this creation has happened, and he says tataha. Tataha means from that. And what was he talking about in the previous verse? If you remember, the previous line said Brahmashraya Maya Asti. Brahmashraya Trigunatmika Maya Asti, he said. So he is talking about Maya in the previous line. And then in the next line, he says from that. So obviously, he is referring to Maya. So Tataha means from that, from Maya. And what kind of Maya? Avyakta Maya. Right? So from that Avyakta Maya, Akashaha Sambhutaha. First is born Akasha. Sambhuta means created or is born. So Akashaha. Akashaha is the space element. Then from this Akasha, Vayu, the air element is born. Then from Vayuhu, Tejaha. Tejaha means fire. Then from Tejaha, what is born? Apaha. Apaha means water. And from that water, Prithvi, earth. So all these are the different elements. So these are born from one another. Okay. So the first one to come out of the Avyakta Maya is the Akashaha, the space element. Then Vayuhu, from space is Vayuhu. From Vayu is Tejaha, fire. From Tejaha is Apaha, water. And from Apaha we have Prithvi, the earth element. Now, this space is a subtle element. The space, at least, that is available to us, the gross space. Now, I'm talking about the gross space. Okay. So, this gross space, what is available to us, it is very much here. Now, there is a confusion that some people tend to have, that space is nothingness, space is emptiness. You may get a feeling because it is so subtle in nature, there comes a feeling that space is actually not there, it is emptiness. But Shastra tells us that space is also a created element that is born. And space is not nothingness, it is in fact a positive material that is very much present. So, this Shastra tells us, and now in science also, they have started making some advancements, and they have found that space can bend. Space is like a fabric, but it is a three-dimensional fabric, and it is capable of bending. So you may have heard the word space-time curvature and all those. So that means space can bend. So I have kept a small little video to show you, to give you a better example of this. Can you see the screen now?
Yes.
Yes.
Just a minute. So I'll just yeah. So you can see the screen, and this is a YouTube video done by a science teacher. So as you can see, there's a blue colored fabric, and it is stretched like this, right? So normally, if that heavy ball that is placed in the middle, if that is not there, what happens? The fabric is flat. It is just straight, right? But he has kept a heavy ball in the middle of this fabric, and so that is why it has dipped downwards. You can see it is like a U shape thing. And this is actually what happens in space also. So when a heavy object like the earth or the sun is placed in space, it actually bends space itself. Until now, in science, they thought gravity is like a force of attraction between two objects. So, if Earth and Moon or Earth and Sun, they thought it is like a force between the two objects. But now they understand that more than calling it a force, it is actually the bending of space itself. And because of the bending of space, the Earth will follow a particular path around the Sun. Okay, like for example, if you have a train, the train has to follow the railway tracks. Whichever way the railway track goes, the train will go. There is no scope for the train to come outside the tracks and move. In the same way, there is no scope for Earth to move outside space, right? It has to go with space itself. It has to move within the path offered by space. So when these heavy objects are there in space, they bend space. And now we'll see the video. So we'll see what happens when there is a heavy object which is bending space, and then some lighter objects like the earth is released into its path. We'll just see this.
Some things we've discovered using this, also had just some larger marbles, might as well put them out, but they bend space-time too, right? And so maybe, oops, you can get one thing to orbit another. Maybe I can do a little better. There we go. So the Earth-Moon system, maybe? And so you can see that this
Okay. Were you all able to see that?
Yes.
So I can share the rest of I can share the link, and so that you can see the rest of the video if you want to see. But that was just to give you a demonstration about how it actually happens. So the point is not about gravity. For us, the point is about space. The idea is that space is a created element. It is like a fabric. It is bendable, it is elastic, and it is a positive present material. It is not nothingness. So that is the main idea that we're trying to convey here. Now, coming back to our Sukshma Akasha, the subtle Akasha. So, this Sukshma Akasha has a special property, one special Vishesha Guna, you can say. It has a special property, and that is the property of sound, Shabda. Okay, so this Akasha has the Vishesha Guna of Shabda. Now, it feels like in space you can't hear anything, but this is not the regular sound, the gross sound that we are talking about. This is also a subtle sound. Obviously, it is subtle space, it is subtle sound, so your physical ears cannot hear this sound. It is a limitation of the physical ears. But the yogis in their deep meditation have heard this sound, and it is the sound of Om. So, Om is the sound of space. So, but the property associated is sound itself. Okay. So it is an anahata shabda. Anahata means non-struck. So subtle sound. Then the next one is Vayuhu. Now Vayuhu has two properties. So it takes one property from the previous one and it has one special new property of its own. So Vayu has two properties. One is Shabda from the previous, and the second one is Sparsha, touch. Okay, the guna of Sparsha is available to Vayu. Then Tejaha, third one. It has the previous two plus its own new property. So previous two is Shabda, Sparsha, then its own is Rupa. Rupa means form or even color in this case. Okay, so the sight, Rupa. Then fourth one is apaha, which is water. And water has 4 properties, the 3 from previous and one special property, which is taste, rasana. Okay, so apaha has taste as a special property. Then the last one is prithvi. Prithvi has one more new property plus the previous 4. The new property is smell, gandha. Okay, so in this way, all the 5 properties you can see. And as you can see, Prithvi, the earth, is available to all your sense organs, right? You can see it, you can smell it, you can taste it. Not advisable, but you can. It's possible to taste it, and then you can feel it. So it is available in all the in all the 5 sense organs can observe Prithvi. But when you come to apaha, when it comes to water, only 4 become available. The smell aspect is not there. Okay, so now sometimes water may have a smell, but that is because there is some Prithvi element mixed into it. Okay, not the water by itself does not have any smell, but it has a taste. And you can also touch it, you can see it, you can, hear the water. So all these are available to water. Then tejaha, one more is reduced. You can't taste fire, obviously. So what you can do, you can see it, you can feel the heat of fire. And fire also has a sound element associated. So as you see, as we go down, as we move towards Prithvi, the elements become grosser and grosser. More gross means available to more and more sense organs. And the most subtle is obviously Akasha, because Akasha is little difficult to perceive. It doesn't have any of the others. That is why it is the most subtle. Whereas all the others start becoming grosser and grosser and becoming more available to the different sense organs. Okay. So this is the different Sukshma Pancha Bhutanis that are created. Yeah. So before we start Sukshma Bhautikani, any questions?
Medha ji,
Yeah.
when we say subtle, subtle prithvi, subtle elements, I feel to imagine what they are.
You can think of them as the elements in their pure form. It's not exactly a potential form, but nor is it the full gross form. It is something of an intermediate.
So when we say subtle prithvi, how and what is it exactly?
It is in the Sukshma form. It is not available for your sense perception.
We can say they are in elemental form: carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, hydrogen, etc.
Carbon, nitrogen, no, those are that would not apply here, because these
Okay.
are, it's not. I don't think they're comparable.
Okay.
But for prithvi, you said ki, it has gandha also, and it is besides the other 4. So it's available to all the sense organs. So if it's available to all the sense organs, then is it still subtle?
The subtle element has that property. It has a guna of being available. So when it becomes gross, it becomes available.
Okay.
So it is just a guna. It is just not yet available, but it has that guna.
So, Medaji, could we kind of visualize, say, how the Maya is born or evolved? So, is it like how you blow air into a balloon and it expands? And inside the balloon, there are some elements like the planets and all the other things. Can we visualize it that way, or is there any other analogy we can use? Example?
I don't think the balloon example would work.
Mhm.
There is, okay, I will try to think if there's any other way to, give an example for
Okay.
how to visualize. But basically, it's something like in a potential or a sukshma form. See, potential will make it Maya. So it is not correct to use the word potential also. But these are tanmatras, you can say. By the way, all this philosophy, this particular section of this this part is borrowed from Sankhya. So Sankhya talks extensively about creation of the universe and all of that. So as a mumukshu, really speaking, it's not that relevant to you, but still we need to know this because it fills in the gap in certain places. So the information needs to be known. As for what exactly is this pure or subtle form, it is difficult to visualize. So you can for now just keep it as a subtle form of the element.
Mhm. So all of this is when Maya starts working. All this.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. When the vyakta part, when it has to move from avyakta to vyakta, this is the process.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So the balloon example, why it doesn't work is because here we are moving from subtle to gross. But there,
Mhm.
the if the planets are already available inside the balloon, then there's no movement from subtle to gross, right?
Right. Right.
Okay, so yes. Okay, we can read this now. You can unmute yourself. एतेषां पञ्चतत्त्वानां मध्ये
एतेषां मध्ये
आकाशस्य सात्विकांशात्
आकाशस्य
आकाशस्य
सात्विकांशात्
सात्विकांशात्
श्रोत्रेन्द्रियसम्भूतं
श्रोत्रेन्द्रियसम्भूतम्
वायोः सात्विकांशात् त्वगिन्द्रियं सम्भूतम्
वायो
सात्विकांशात्
सम्भूतम्
अग्नेः सात्विकांशात् चक्षुरिन्द्रियं सम्भूतम्
सात्विकांशात्
इन्द्रियं सम्भूतम्
जलस्य सात्विकांशात् रसनेन्द्रियं सम्भूतम्
जलस्य
पृथिव्या सात्विकांशात् घ्राणेन्द्रियं सम्भूतम्
पृथिव्या सात्विकांशात्
ज्ञानेन्द्रियं सम्भूतम्
Okay. So now, etesham pancha tattvanam madhye. Etesham means among these. Madhye, etesham madhya means from among all of these, from among the middle of these. Pancha tattvanam. And which these is it? It is the 5 subtle elements that we spoke about previously. So here the author is calling them as tattvams. Okay, so in the beginning of this chapter, if you remember, he had said, I will explain to you 24 different tattvams. Out of those 24, these are 5. So he's telling now, out of these 5 subtle elements, out of these 5 tattvams, from the Akasha Satvikamshat. Okay, so now this requires some explanation. So Maya, we all know, has 3 gunas. So if Maya has 3 gunas, then the product of Maya must also have 3 gunas. Like, for example, if you have cotton threads and then you make a cotton shirt out of it. The shirt is cotton or silk?
Cotton.
Cotton, right? So you have cotton threads, you have made a shirt. Obviously, it is a cotton shirt. So in the same way, when it comes to Maya, Maya is the cause or the parent, right? And then everything else that is born out of Maya is a product or an effect. So if Maya has 3 gunas, then the product also must have 3 gunas. So all of these, Akasha, the Vayu, Agni, everything will have 3 gunas. And which are the 3 gunas? Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. So these 3 gunas are available in all the different elements. 3 gunas. Now, from this sattvic portion, what was the Shakti associated with Sattva?
Kriya. Action.
Kriya is associated with
Rajas.
Sattva?
Yes, Rajas.
No.
Kriya is Rajas.
Kriya is associated with Rajas.
And so what is associated with Sattva?
Intellect. Intelligence.
Jnana.
Jnana Shakti, the knowing faculty, the power of knowing is associated with Sattva. So from this Sattvic portion of the 5 elements, the Jnanendriyas are born. So from the Jnana Shakti of 5 elements, the Jnanendriyas are born. Does that make sense? Because Sattva is the Jnana Shakti, the knowing ability. And so from this, each element, the Sattvic portion of each element, the sense organs are born. And why does it have to be sense organs? Because sense organs are your input organs. Using the sense organs, you know the world, right? So the knowing faculty is there with the sense organs. So from this sattvic portion of Akasha, what is born? Can you tell me what is the guna of Akasha? The special property of Akasha is what?
Shrotam, I think sound Shabd is born.
The
Shabd.
Shabd is the special property of Akasha. So what must be born? How do you know sound?
By the
Sravanendriya.
waves, sound waves.
Sravanendriya.
Ears.
The Shrotrendriya, Shrotram, ears. Using the ears, you know sound. Sound is a special property of Akasha. Right?
Oh, is that why you said in that order we must remember Shrotram
Yes, that is
first?
the order. Yes. It is the same order for Akasha and etc. So that is why you always start with Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Jala, Prithvi. Or reverse is also fine, but the order must be maintaining. It can be either from subtle to gross or gross to subtle. However, but usually we follow this particular order and it makes it easy to remember also. That's why even when if you go back in Tattva Bodha where the sense organs part was introduced, you will see it is not haphazardly introduced. It is introduced in this order only. So Shrotram Tvak Chakshuhu Rasana Ghranam Iti Jnanendriyani. That is the line. So in this same order, you will find it. Okay. So that is why the order is important. There is a reason for the order and also it's easy to remember after a while. Okay. So from this Akasha element, special property of Akasha was sound. From the sattvic portion of Akasha, ears are born. Why ears? Because you need to know sound, right? So that is why from Akashasya Satvik Amshat, Shrotram is born. Satvik Amsha. Amsha means the aspect or portion. So from the Satvik portion of Akasha, the Indriya of hearing is born. Sambhutam means born. Now remember one thing, that the word Indriyam is being used here and not Golakam. What is the difference?
Golakam is Sthula Shariram, but we are talking about Sukshma here.
Yes. So Golakam belongs to the Sthula Shariram. It is the physical ears. The ears that you can see, that is called as Golakam. But the invisible power behind that Golakam, that operates that Golakam, that invisible power is called as Indriyam. And so here we are not talking about the physical ears, we are talking about the Indriyam, the invisible power of hearing. Okay, so when it is said Shrotrendriya, it is the power of hearing. Unfortunately, in English, there is only one word, organ. An organ, generally denotes physical thing. So we don't have an equivalent word for Indriya, really. There's no word in English. So whenever I say sense organ, it is easy to visualize the physical parts and get confused, but that is not what we are talking about when we say indriyam. It is actually the invisible part, the invisible power. Okay, so from Akasha we got Shrotram. Next, what is Vayu? English, what is Vayu?
Touch. Oh, air.
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 What is the special property of air?
Touch, sparsh.
Touch or sparsha. And how do you get to know touch? How do you know touch? Using which organ?
Skin.
Skin.
Tvacha. Tvacha.
Twak. Okay. So using the organ of feeling, which is the skin, that is how you feel anything, right? That is called as Twak Indriyam. Twagindriyam it becomes. So Twak plus Indriyam is Twagindriyam. So the power of touch is born from the sattvic portion of Vayu. From the sattvic portion of air, the power of touch or sparsha is born. Next, what is this? What is Agni? In English, what is Agni?
Sight.
Fire.
Fire.
Fire. What is
Fire.
the special property of fire?
Roop.
Rupa or form, color. So which organ you need?
Eyes. Chakshu.
Eyes. Chakshu. That is why Chakshurindriyam. So all of them are sattvic portion only. Okay. So from sattvic portion of fire, you have the Indriyam of eyes being born. Then Jala is what?
Jal. Pani.
Water. Yeah. So then what is the special property of water?
Taste.
Taste. For taste you need?
Tongue. Taste buds.
Yes. The Indriyam for taste. It's Rasanendriyam. And obviously from the sattvic portion. And then the last one is Prithvi or the earth element. And what is the special property?
Smell.
Smell. So you need
Gandha. Nose.
nose for the smell. So from sattvic portion of the earth element, the Indriyam of smelling, the Indriyam to know smell is born. Okay. So this is clear?
Yes.
Okay. So we saw what happens with each of the five and what Indriyam is born from each of the five. But we are still not done because one very big organ is still left, which is that sixth Indriyam.
Mind.
Mind.
Manaha.
Mind also has to be born out of these 5 only, right? Out of the combination of these 5 elements only, the mind also must be born. Like I said, mind is also a sukshma bhautikam. It is a combination of the subtle 5 elements. So now we just quickly read this and understand about the mind. एतेषां पञ्चतत्त्वानां
एतेषां पञ्चतत्त्वानां
समष्टिसात्विकांशात्
समष्टिसात्विकांशात्
मनोबुद्ध्यहङ्कारचित्त
मनोबुद्ध्यहङ्कारचित्त
अन्तःकरणानि सम्भूतानि
अंतःकरणानि सम्भूतानि
सङ्कल्पविकल्पात्मकं मनः
सङ्कल्पविकल्पात्मकं मनः
निश्चयात्मका बुद्धिः
निश्चयात्मिका
अहङ्कर्ता अहङ्कारः
अहङ्कर्ता अहङ्कारः
चिन्तनकर्तृचित्तम्
चिन्तनकर्तृ
मनसो देवता चन्द्रमाः
मनसो देवता
बुद्धेः ब्रह्मा अहङ्कारस्य रुद्रः
अहङ्कारस्य रुद्रः
चित्तस्य वासुदेवः
चित्तस्य वासुदेवः
Okay, so now the mind. So what does the author say? Etesham panchatattvanam. From among these 5 tattvas, from among the same 5 elements, subtle elements, what does he say? Samashti satvikamshat. So satvikamshat, you already know, from the sattvic portion. But he's added one more word. He says samashti. Samashti means total or all of them. So etesham, from among the 5 subtle elements, from the total sattvic amsha, from the total sattvic, that means from all of their 5 sattvic aspects, what is born is the antakaranam. So in Sanskrit, the word antakaranam means the inner instrument, and it refers to what we call as mind in English. But it is a technical term. So we have actually seen this before, this antakaranam. So antakaranam is a technical word which includes the 4 aspects of the mind: the mana, buddhi, ahankara, and chittam. Right? So mind, the English word, is not sufficient to cover all these 4 different aspects. So when we say antakaranam, it means we are talking about the whole mind, which includes all these 4. Now, why is it necessary that this antakarana, this mind, has to be born out of the samashti satvikamshat, out of the totality of, or the combination of all the 5 elements sattvic portion? So that is because the mind receives information from all the 5 jnanendriyas, and it has to coordinate and process information from all of them. So it needs to be able to, in a way, coordinate with each of them individually also, right? So for example, suppose, there is one person who knows only English. Suppose there is another person who knows only Hindi. These 2 people cannot coordinate with each other, they cannot communicate with each other. So what is needed? They need one translator, a translator who knows both Hindi and English. And then this person can speak to the English person in English, Hindi person in Hindi, and then he can coordinate between them. Right? So there is one person who knows both languages, and he is the coordinator, he is the mediator. So the mind is like that. It has to coordinate between all the 5 sense organs. And so it needs to be able to, in a way, talk to all the 5 organs, right? So that is why the mind has to be born out of the sattvic portion of all the 5 elements. It needs all the 5 gunas because it has the job of a coordinator. Now, there's a nice, interesting example to show how the role of the mind is. So, some of you may have heard this already. So, there was a research done on some blind people. So, they were blind and then somehow they regained their sense of sight through surgery or whatever. So, their whole life they have been blind, and now for the first time they are able to see. And what happened is, as first they're just able to see, and they're shown 2 objects. One is a ball and another is a little cube, like a box. So a ball and a box they are shown, and then they are asked which of these 2 objects has a sharp edge. So between ball and box, which one has a sharp edge? And they're not allowed to touch it, obviously. Only by looking at it, they have to say which one is sharp and which one is smooth. What do you think happened? So those of you who know, let's give the others a chance. Any idea? What do you think happened?
They couldn't tell
Why?
because they had not touched it, and the mind hadn't processed what it had seen and touched and felt, whether it is smooth or sharp.
Yes, that's right. So the thing is, actually, they were not able to tell. They got confused. So they kind of guessed when they were shown, they kind of just guessed which one it might be, but they didn't know for sure. What this shows, for the first time I heard this this little experiment, I thought it is so obvious that obviously the box will have the sharp edge, right? It is, you can see it also, no, the shape is there and everything, but what we don't realize that is that it is actually from 2 separate inputs it is coming. The sharpness is felt through the finger and the shape is seen through the eyes. There are 2 separate inputs coming in. And in the mind, the integration is happening so beautifully, so smoothly, in such a seamless way that now it is so well associated that obviously the pointed thing will be sharp to touch. The thing that appears pointed to see will be sharp to touch. And the thing that is smooth to see will be smooth to touch. That coordination and integration has happened so well that now for us it is difficult to actually differentiate and separate them. But for these blind people, one of the inputs was not at all available. They had never seen it, right? They had only felt it. So now, when they see it for the first time, that integration has not yet happened because they have to touch and see at the same time for it to happen, right? So, this shows the role the mind plays in processing information. So, it comes from 2 different, or actually in this case, 5 different places, and then it integrates and smoothly gives us an experience of the world. So, till now, is it clear?
Yes.
Okay. So, now we'll just finish this verse. So, etesham panchatattvanam samashti satvikamshat. So, from among those 5 tattvams, those 5 subtle elements, samashti satvika, the total sattvic portion, from all of their sattvic portions, what is born? Antakarana is born. Antakarana is the inner instrument which we call mind in English. And this Antakarana has 4 aspects: Manaha, Buddhi, Ahankara, and Chitta. And so the author has given small one-line descriptions for each of these. The first one is Manaha. So actually all this we have already seen, but I will quickly cover it here. Manaha is the doubting faculty of the mind. It is the emotional faculty as well as the doubting faculty. So that is why Sankalpa Vikalpatmakam Manaha. What does the doubting mind do? Sankalpa Vikalpa. Back and forth. To be or not to be. Should I attend class? Should I not attend class? So all these, thoughts going in one direction and then a doubt pulling it in a different direction. This doubting nature, this emotional nature, all of this, the oscillating nature, all of that is Manaha. Okay, Sankalpa, Vikalpa. Then there is Buddhi. Buddhi is the intellect or the rational faculty, the decision making faculty. And so that is why Nishchayatmaka Manaha. Deciding something conclusively, taking a stand, fixing on one, thought or on one direction of thoughts. That is Nishchaya, to decide. And so this Buddhi is what we call the deciding faculty or the rational faculty or the intellect faculty. So all these things are Buddhi. Then we have Ahankaraha. Ahankara, the definition given by the author is Ahankarta, the doership. So the idea that I am, this much is me and then not me. That sense of boundary, the I notion, the feeling that this much is me and then not me. That is Ahankara. Ahankarta means the sense of doership. Karta means to do. Ahankarta means I am doing. So that sense of I, that individuality, that is Ahankaraha. So one is of course this sense of individuality, and from this Ahankara, what is an extension of it is Mamakara. Mamakara means mine, possessiveness, me and mine, So if I say, this is my pen, that my indicates Mamakara. So we generally, we do this with small children. We take their toy and then we tease them. We say, this is my toy now, just to provoke their ahankara and see what happens, right? So that, my possession, that is Mamakara. And then there is one more thing associated with ahankara, which is that it identifies with various other faculties of the body mind sense system. So for example, if I say I am writing, actually I am not writing, my hand is writing, backed by a portion of my mind. But you never say my hand is writing, you never say my legs are walking, you always say I am walking, I am doing. So this sense of identification with the different faculties, that is also one of the faculties of ahankara. So ahankarta, the I notion, then there is mamakara, possession, and then there is this different identification with different portions. Then the last one is chittam. Chittam is the memory storehouse, the memory deposit. And what happens with this memory storage? Chintana kartru. Kartru means to do. Chintana means, here it means to recollect. Recollection. So once you store the memories, you need to bring them back also, right? That recollection is called as chintana here. And these memories can either be stored out of reach in the subconscious or within reach in your local memories. So both of those are chittam. Now, the author in the next line has also talked about the devatas for each of these aspects. I hope you remember the concept of devata. Devata is not an individual or a person or a mythological figure. A devata is a concept in Vedanta which indicates the totality of that faculty. So if I talk about eyes, the total seeing power of the universe is the devata of seeing. If I talk about ears, then the total hearing power in the whole universe, that is called as devata for hearing. So it is a summation or a totality, samashti level. Okay, so it is not a person. And so now he has listed the names of the devatas for each of these aspects. He says Manaso Devata, the Devata for this Manaha is Chandramaha. It is called Chandrama, the moon. You know, that is why in English also we have the words like lunatic, Luna comes from the moon, this thing. So some correlations you can make. So moon, the deity, or this Chandrama is always associated with this Manaha, this emotional mind. Then Buddhihi is Brahma. This is not Brahman, this is Brahmaji. Okay, so that Brahma, different from Brahman, don't get confused. Then the Devata for Ahankara is called Rudraha. Then for Chitta, the memory, it is called Vasudevaha. Okay, so these are the names for the different devatas. And yeah, it corresponds to the totality or the total power. So all the manahas in the universe, the totality of that power, that is Chandramaha. Okay. Right.
Medaji, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, is that the Rudra and Vasudeva?
Like I told you, it is not persons. They are not people.
Okay.
So the names, you might find some of them similar, common, and you may even find some connections, but don't get confused.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think we can stop here and continue the rest of it in the next class. Any questions? No questions? All understood or nothing understood?
Not understood.
It was interesting.
Nedaji, I've always wondered where is the space? In which space is the space?
Mhm.
We talk of space to be
Yes.
existing in some space.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So
It is first.
space cannot exist in space, as you are yourself having difficulty in visualizing that. You know, if there's a bottle, there is, so you visualize a bottle, there is space inside the bottle, there is space outside the bottle, but the bottle itself is in space. Actually, you know, it only superficially appears as though there is space inside space. That is never the case. Space is indivisible, space is akhandaha, cannot be broken or divided in any way. Any division that appears in space because of a building or a bottle or whatever, it is only superficial. It is not actually there. The space
But we're,
inside and the space outside, they are one and the same.
but we're always hearing that the universe is expanding, and so that means the space is expanding. So it must be in some kind of space.
Yeah. you know, for this, what you are talking, Big Bang, contemplating on this Big Bang theory is very interesting because they say pre Big Bang, just before the Big Bang, there was a singularity. Now it's easy to visualize singularity as some dot floating somewhere and, like, you know, something. But actually, there was no space itself because space was created with the Big Bang. So, where was the singularity? It is a very interesting little, thought process. There, because before this Big Bang, it is total dimensionlessness. There's no dimensions, there's no space, there's no time. And in fact, this is what we are calling as Avyakta Maya.
Mm.
Because from this Avyakta Maya is born space. So actually, there is no, there's no concept of space when we are talking about Avyakta Maya. It's very difficult for the human mind to visualize and imagine these things. So, repeat Devatas. So, Devatas is the totality of the power. So, for Manasaha, the Devata is Chandrama. These are names, okay? So, just remember them as names from the text. So, Manasaha is Chandrama, and then we have Buddhi is Brahma. Then, what's the next one? Ahankara is Rudraha. And finally, the last one, Chittam, is Vasudevaha. So, I would suggest remembering them as proper nouns and names rather than associating them with different deities and, photographs that we see, because then it will cause confusion. Yeah. Anything else?
Medhaji, I had a question from the previous class. Can I ask?
Yeah.
And this is regarding Maya. When you said it is avidya and is negated by correct knowledge, so upon that negation, is this Maya now Brahman? What is it replaced after the negation? What is it? What does it change to? Brahman.
No, it doesn't change to anything. Maya continues as it is, and Brahman also continues as it is. The only thing that changes is your understanding. That is the negation. It is only at an intellectual level for you.
Okay. Okay.
So, see, in the case of the snake and the rope example, what happens? The snake is negated, and then what you see is only rope. So, snake was never really there, and now only rope you see. But in the case of moksha, there is a slight difference. It is not that the world will vanish. It is not that all the objects around you will suddenly disappear. It doesn't happen like that. So even though they are there, all the objects are there, for you they are only Brahman. You
So
don't see Anatma anymore, you only see
the,
Atma.
is this change? Is this moksha?
Yeah, that is moksha. So it's not like the tree will vanish and you don't ever perceive it or something. Even for the Gnani, there are objects. Gnani will also eat. When he sees food, he will say, okay, this is a chapati. But that is at a transactional level. But as a Gnani, he knows that really there is no such thing called Anatma. Everything is Brahman.
Mm. Thank you.
The world doesn't vanish. Okay, don't worry. It is very much there. It is just that now it no longer has the capacity to trouble you in any way.
Mm.
So from a snake, it has become a fangless snake. Snake without fangs. Can't hurt you. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. So we'll end here. And to Purnamada. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachite Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Om Tat Sat. Thank you all and see you next week.
Thank you, Medaji.
Thank
Very
you.
nice session.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Medaji.
Thank you.
Thank you.